when we met for the first time, you presented how to work with Canvas.
Yeah.
It was really, really interesting.
Canvas is a new UX by ChatGPT. It's not necessarily AI, but it's in a way an extension of how we should work nowadays and how Word should finally present itself. So I'm just gonna copy the memo.
What's really important, we can use copy paste function, but with some more sophisticated ways. This is still simple, but in a clever way.
In a very clever way. So I'm opening this now in Canvas, and that's in a way great. It's like my document, but with a chat next to it. So it's the same document. And now instead of in a way in a chat having the document recreated all of the time, where you think, no, most of it is stable. Like my memo is great. It's just, it is still suffering. There's still one in a way war place, one battleground in a way. That's in a way, according to Max Schrems, I could now say, okay, I could say, I checked this source, comma, it was not Schrems, comma, it was Michael Jakowski, right? Like again, the partner scribbling at the side. Right?
Okay.
It just changes it in the document. Like I'm zooming out a bit so you can see the document a bit better. Questions, facts, right? Now let's say my client likes in a way more elaborate answers, right? I would say I mark this and I say more elaborate and technical, please. Then it just changes this. And as OpenAI is connected with Microsoft, I hope that we will have this function soon in Microsoft Word. So the answers are now longer. I could say, okay, the facts. I could add and say, this is about the special Jakowski calculator manufactured in Poznan, comma, that is so good, comma, people think it is intelligent, comma, use this fact pattern. Does it matter if it appears to be intelligent to lay people? It's an important distinction, right? Something can be legally in an AI system and people say this is so dumb. Or something can be legally not an AI system, but people are saying, hey, this is great, right? So and maybe that's an important decision. Is this how it does not exhibit any for self-learning? Okay, all right. And I would now say, apply this fact pattern to the memo. Discuss whether the appearance, whether the fact that consumer think it is AI is relevant or not. I don't see so much of a discussion. It does not regard the perception of lay users, then is intelligent. This is not relevant to the legal classification. The legal criteria for defining are based on technical characteristics, like they're objective. It's interesting, right? Otherwise, it could be a loophole. It's like, this is the craziest AI of ever, but people don't perceive it as AI, so there's no risk. So, and again, what I'm using here, this is not in a way AI specific. I'm making examples that you could do this with any kind of law.
Yes.
Like, how do I get into this law? Does it even apply to us? Does it not apply to us? So, and it's your decision to add the relevant fact pattern. You could also add documents and say, okay, this is it. But that works kind of nice. Okay, so we did the PowerPoint. What I also often liked is, in a way, explain the memo in a table. Let's see if it does this. Does, right? Section, facts, questions, answers, legal analysis, details. That's just great. So
yeah.
let's use another example. For instance, recent example, let's take an area of law that is highly developing and tricky to administer. I was recently in Berlin at a meeting of the family lawyers of Germany, and they were dealing with a new decision by the European Court of Human Rights. And it's an interesting decision. It's because it's technical, but it's always the European Court of Human Rights always issues its decisions in French. It's a very exact language, much more exact than German, you could argue. Now you have a decision by the European Court of Human Rights, and it might be relevant for everybody in Europe because it's the European Court of Human Rights. Now, imagine you have to understand it. Of course, you could translate it with DeepL, but a translation, as you know, you might still not get it because you don't understand the context, and that's the interesting thing. Now, this decision is relevant because many were for one or the other side, and this is a decision. It's from Germany. There were two women. One was donating her egg, and a man donated his sperm, and the other woman then gave birth. And then the question is the other woman also a mother under German law? German court said no. German Constitutional Court said no. And now the European Court of Human Rights also said no. Some people are frustrated by this in all that. It's a very a tricky area of law. Now, if you want to understand it, before you criticize this, you would like to know, how does it work? What did they say? And it's in French, right? I'm going to download this now, and I'm not taking this in a way to make any political statement here. That's not what I mean. I'm just saying I find it fascinating how you suddenly can have access to sources that you otherwise don't have, and that's what we need as lawyers, because we can't always talk to other experts, or we first have to get a feeling. What is this? And now you not only can translate other languages, but you can translate other concepts. So I put this decision in there. I would say I may have to apply this decision in a court case in Germany, full stop. However, I don't understand the decision. Can you first summarize it in one sentence? Can you then summarize it on the level of a 10-year-old? Can you then give me in bullet points an overview what the key holdings is, and then make a table that explains the full decision? I like table. And when you see that it can turn many concepts, legal issues, into a table, which is partly a loss of information, but partly also a very simple structuring where you see, aha, that's how it is, summary in one sentence. The European Court held that the German authorities did not violate the applicant's rights under Article 8 by refusing to recognize the genetic mother's parental status for the child by inverse surrogacy. The key thing was because the other woman donated her egg, she was genetically also a mother, right? And then the question is, what controls, right? Summary of the level for a 10-year-old. They had a baby together. One woman gave birth, but the other woman provided the egg, so it was also mom in a different way. Now, when you go back to the decision, and it's in French, la genèse de l'affaire, la procédure litigeuse, and you can drown in all of the procedure is important, right? In all of these provisions, court decisions have to be written like this because they make a legal. They need to. They want to explain. You can criticize, and then the lower courts can understand. But if you want to first get a grip on it, and you can do this with any kind of law. So the key holdings, and then it gives me the table. So imagine you make a collection of relevant cases, or you would inform your client about this, then you can do this. Now let's go back, find a different decision. Shall we work with a different document? I have another nice document to work with. Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can do it.
I'm adding another large document here. Hold on. It's public. Currently, we're using public sources, and it is a very big document. It's 300 pages. Imagine you have to deal with this. So this is a loan. It's public in the United States. You know, WeWork, the big company.
Yes, of
They still
course.
exist, but they went into bankruptcy. I don't know. They probably have offices in Poznan and Warsaw and Krakow as well. Now imagine this is one of the emergency loans they got before they filed for bankruptcy. It's 300 pages and it starts in this beautiful American way, right? As a bankruptcy lawyer in Germany, in the US, and even in Germany, I sometimes have to read these, right? And it's long, it's long, it's long. Of course, I could do a word search like German. Is there anything with German Bank Separation Act? There is something I could look for. Insolvency, right? Declines bankruptcy event. But when you look at the results here, they're already scattered all over. That's where this also helps. So I would say, okay, I need to look at this document in two ways. I need to first find out whether it says anything relevant in German law, and then I need to see how it addresses insolvency events. Summarize this for me and tell me which provisions apply. It will then find that bankruptcy law is addressed in section 11F. All right? I can even be more specific. And you see how quickly it read 300 pages.
Yeah,
that's in a way, that's what it makes it useful, especially as it usually, this is the document is very good. It's not a scan. It was apparently printed to PDF, so it's very pure text, which is nice. But with a decent scan, it can also work. And there are some companies that are, in a way, pre-processing this. Like if you go like this company Harvey, some larger law firms are using Harvey. They scrub the PDFs a bit more, so better information is then handled by the AI. There are others that are also doing this. My old text recognition is still dealing with this. Right? And now I could say again, and I'm here in Canvas. I specifically opened it in Canvas because I want to write something. Okay. I need to write a short memo to my client, one of the major lenders in this regard, summarizing the bankruptcy provisions and the German Banking Act provisions. Use a very concise and casual style and make sure that you cite very specifically from the document. I need the section and subsection, etc., etc. And then it opens up in Canvas. Dear, I hope you're well. Here's a concise summary of the key bankruptcy and the relevant German in connection with the WeWork credit agreement. Okay. Clicking at section 1.1, which was insolvency related events. I'm not going back to the document. Okay. In Harvey or another company features, you would have a document viewer that opens the German section. It's a reverse insolvency and German banking action considerations, right? And I would say what I didn't show before is you can now write in here. That makes it very
easier.
Right? Maybe I didn't show this before. That's why it is something I wanted. It's not that you, in a way, in a margin, scribble your prompt and say, improve this. You can also add something, right? German Banking Act considerations. And I would say, we think the act is invalid under EU ECJ case law, right? And I would then say, that's what I just wrote in here, and I say, elaborate. The AI doesn't know whether it's invalid under EU law or not. I'm just saying it. I would say, no, elaborate for real in a whole paragraph. Come on, make some arguments. These things are argument creation engines, whether they fit or not. That's what we lawyers sometimes use. Like, anyway, we're gripping for any argument. What could we say? Like, Michael Jakowski writes something. We realize we don't like this, what he's writing. What can we say against this? Right? The non-lawyers would say, let's use the arguments that are correct. And we as lawyers would say, well, I don't know what fits yet. Let's come up with things. Let's brainstorm. Could it be this? Could it be this? Could it be this? And then we'd say, well, we have 3 great arguments and 10 weak ones. let's shoot all 30 at him and let's see how he handles it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to be absurd. We don't want to, in a way, do any fraud, but we will try to have arguments, right? And then it gives me an argument, and then that's kind of funny. So, and then you can rewrite the memo. Another thing that many people are using is custom GPTs. Let me just show you this to you. You make your own GPT on Kivo, which is the German abbreviation for AI Act. And what I did there is I put in some documents in it, right, to work with it. And then I ask it to answer my questions, and it will always use the content of this.
Okay. So like a closed file.
Yes. There are copyright issues there if you do this, but if you do it with your own stuff, that's unproblematic. And then you also can, in a way, automatize things. So here's the clause defender. That's what some lawyers are using, the Klausel defender. I mean, this is not working in German. So sometimes you have a contract, and the other side is striking and track changes a lot of stuff where you realize they're not even giving reasons. So you just, in a way, put the struck clause in your clause defender and say, defend this clause. So you put it back in, and you have a commentary that says this clause is important because of right? So let's go to the bankruptcy clause. I would say defend this clause This clause is essential to ensure robust financial and operational stability and to mitigate counterparty risk in the event of insolvency. This is detailed thresholds and grace periods, such as the 5 business day provision. Removing this clause would undermine the risk management foundation of the agreement and expose all parties to unacceptable financial and legal uncertainties, making its retention indispensable. Okay, then you say, I give up. This clause is so important. Let's leave it in. So what do I have in the background there? It says...
Yeah, this was my question. What's the difference between the general answer from the ChatGPT?
Oh.
What's behind? What's in the background?
I can show you. The trick is that you give it a system prompt that focuses on this. Essentially, you save time. So you pre-program this. So the clause defender, this is now in German, and I gave it a name. This is the clause defender. It is defending clauses, and here is, in a way, my system prompt. Let me just, in a way, translate it. I'm going to translate it with DeepL. You're presented with contract clauses that are important to me, but the other party wants to delete. Your task: defend my contract clause in the best possible way. But ChatGPT can be chatty and too long. I can't put it 2 pages in my commentary, so I want a short defense, right? Your task: defend my contract clauses in the best possible way by creating a concise and convincing and legally perfect defense text for me that explains in a totally convincing way why this clause is indispensable and essential and crucial, must not be deleted under any circumstances, must be retained in any case. Create only one compact text module with a maximum of 4 sentences. Do not make any paragraphs. Always give the best reasons. You're a highly experienced contract lawyer who scored 18 points in both exams. It's impossible. Nobody ever did this in German. In theory, you could have 18 points. I think the best someone did is 17.1 or something.
Okay.
You are legally and rhetorically perfect and winning and eloquent. You are writing for an opposing side that also has a high legal standard, but also needs to be convinced. So do your best. You write concisely, succinctly, and comprehensively because the opposing side does not have much time to read and understand the counter arguments. Clear and uncompromising. Help me, right?
A great prompt. I can fully understand right now how he does it.
So that's useful. No, but if I use this in ChatGPT without the prompt, I just here defend this clause. It gives me this, which is nice, but that's not what I need. That's not pragmatic.
Yes, that's very long.
Yes.
Nobody would read it.
No, I could say, I could of course then say in 2 sentences, So these custom GPTs are in a way essentially like a frozen prompt experiences where you realize in one prompt this works well. And that's another thing. Long prompts do work. They're difficult in a way to create ad hoc because you don't know what works. Then I could ask it, I want to create a clause defender GPT. Provide me in this regard a small custom prompt that I can always use to create short defenses that I can put in a commentary in a Word document. So you can use ChatGPT to create your own prompts for these custom GPTs. That's what many companies do, right? Generate short, well-reasoned defense for the following contractual clause, and that might be better than my prompt, right? It's the same with when you use others like Perplexity.
This was supposed to be my next question. What other tools do you use on the daily basis? So Perplexity is also the one you recommend?
Perplexity is nice, and it sometimes prompts itself. I would say, for instance, is the AI Act applied differently in Poland than in Germany? Question mark. I don't get this. Hold on. Is the AI Act in Poland applied differently than in Germany? Question mark. Help. And I even had this on there. So find information about the application of the AI, find out about the application of the AI, compare how the AI is applied in Poland. So it prompts itself in a sequence. That's kind of helpful. Poland has taken a more centralized approach. The Commission for the Development. I'm learning already something. It's kind of nice.
Yes.
Whereas in Germany, we wanted Bundesnetzagentur, but could be that our data protection authorities, and we have a lot of them, apply because you can't. AI always implies that GDPR is also relevant. So in Germany, we might have a couple of agencies working. So I could
Let's
say.
see, it's up to date because it's really news from last 2-3 weeks.
There you go. Perplexity is great in this regard. It's actually a pretty good search engine, and search engine is difficult. There are not many in the world. There are some that are actually Google and Bing with an API. I guess that's also hard. So good job, guys, but it's just an API. Actual search engines that work well are rare, and Perplexity, I think, performs better than Bing, especially because it can explain this. Whether this is good under copyright law and whether they are infringing copyright, it's an open question. It's again an American thing. They might run roughshod over this. They say it works, and people will not go to these links anymore because they're saying, look, the summary is correct. This is exploiting other sources. So there's this angle there, and I guess the people who are providing, see, it still gives its sources here, right? But it's interesting. It can look at Polish language source and give me a summary or an explanation in German or in English. Google doesn't do this. I would have to find the Polish source and then put it into Google Translate. People love this. We don't have search engines anymore. We have answering machines. Whether this works from a society perspective, but people will like this, right? I could ask. So in Poland, is that commission also in charge in case GDPR applies at the same time as the AI Act, or will you also have a bundle of regulators in charge? It's a good question, right? See, and it prompts itself.
Yeah, it's the flow of thinking is really important for us. It's this lack of explanation very often. What is lacking?
Okay, so you have the AI regulator and then UODO.
UODO, yeah.
UODO. Okay. Okay, but they coordinate. Fine. That's also nice. Another great thing currently from Europe, and I can only recommend this, is Mistral from France. They're almost as strong as OpenAI's ChatGPT, and I would say create a loan agreement between A and B for 5,500 euro, with all necessary clauses. So in it, here you have also Canvas now going up in Mistral, right? I can loan agreement. Hold on, it's almost done. So of course we have forms for many things, but we have also very often not forms for many things. What you can do is you put in, for instance, a draft document and open it in Canvas, right? So let me just show you this again. I have a German licensing agreement. It's anonymized. Put it in. Mistral doesn't accept Word docs, so I'm going to save this now as a PDF. Okay, it's converted, and I'm plunking it in, and I say open in Canvas. So if you don't want to spend the money for ChatGPT, you can also use Mistral, Mistral.ai. It's currently for free. You can see what the great things are. See, it's now opening it. And it's in a way transferring my text into this, right? Right. And I could say, change this to a licensing agreement of the music group Kraftwerk, where the 4 members want to part their ways. Right? Takes a while. See, Mistral is not yet as fast as OpenAI, but I could work with this now. Hold on, I'm just putting this in again, and I'm uploading it, and I say change this in this way. So that's also then in a way great. You have your examples. See, and now it takes my draft and with my prompt changes it into a different document. You could take some clauses and then you have to adapt all of the little things like it's I don't know the grammar. You take a different variable for the name, or you have one more party, or this kind of stuff. This drafting is now in a way. Oh, it even took the names of the artists.
Yeah, even with their addresses.
Yes, exactly. So they're trying to, in a way, to take and this agreement was meant in a way where people who had worked together for a long time are parting their ways, and they're in a way cross-licensing whatever they created, so that there's no further problem, and whatever IP they created is then forked into 4 equal parts. Very simple, right? And that's also in a way great. So that's Le Chat Mistral, that works very well. We have in Germany a company that's called Libra. They have a German language model, Noxtur, that's created here in Berlin by Leif, who's a Danish mathematician. That is, they say it's a language model that was trained only with licensed data, without personal identifier information. So it's a very good, clean model. And as it was legally trained, it's very small. It can only do legal, right? But then you would say it's actually more energy efficient. And as it was trained with a lot of German case law, it is better at avoiding hallucinations in case law. As always, I like these tools for writing, for creating arguments, for shaping things. If you work with legal sources, that's also great. If you put the PDFs in, if you just say, draft me a memo and cite applicable case law, or you can really run into hallucinations, right? So the knowledge has to come from somewhere else, really. In Libra, you can also create assistants like custom GPTs. Hold on. Oh, was I just logged out? Yeah. No, I'm logged in. You can create workflows where you can also have the Claude Defender in here. We can combine different GPTs. So that's also what's being created. I guess you probably have this in Poland as well, or all over the world.
No, not yet. Not yet. We have 3 LLMs specifically tailored for Poland, but they are not tailored for Polish legal so far. So
things will go up, improve quickly now. People are understanding that it's the secret sauce. The power is in the LLMs. That's in a way there, and new ones are created, are cheaper. There are other open source models that are coming up in Germany. They just trained one with allegedly very clean data that is they say as powerful as GPT 3.5, from 2 years ago, which was okay, which is good enough for text extraction, for instance, from documents, which is something we need. So good times ahead.
I see from these examples you show, it's good in creative works, in extraction, and summarizing. But also Perplexity seems to be really good in legal research. Where do you see limitations? Because I suppose you use it on a daily basis. All these tools. Where's the balance? The clever balance for a modern lawyer. How to use it and where not to use it.
Well, where not to use it. Again, doing law is more than just writing something. It means finding out what happened or what is supposed to happen. What do people do? It's not just lawsuits about damages, right? We shape things, right? We make things possible. Clients come to us. They have an idea. You have to know how to translate this in a legal idea. Sometimes the clients have some legal knowledge. That's sometimes great, sometimes can be confusing because they think something is legally the issue and it's not. Or they say, look, Michal, this is legally possible. And you can tell them 10 times, not in Poland, right? Or you have, the world is full of wonder, right? If, like I'm a bankruptcy lawyer, certain kinds of security under German law cannot exist under Dutch law. It's not a problem if you don't go to the Netherlands, but if you are there and they just put it in and you don't check this with a Dutch lawyer, you create disasters like German shares in a German limited liability company. If you want to assign them or in a way put a lien on them, you have to go to the notary. Americans very often don't care. They just put in a document, they put a lien on it. Then they want to enforce this. And then we tell them, it's not valid. How can this be? So, so there's room for error anyhow, and then a lot of misunderstandings. And then if you go to the wrong lawyer, you don't get the right advice, and this will still stay the same. Maybe an AI could, in a way, review some witness statements, but that would be like a lie detector. So, and the AI Act, in a way, does not allow biometrics anyhow for good reason. So the limitations are clearly there. Like this, it's a help in writing quickly, getting drafts out, looking at mountains of documents in a better coherent way, and that's great. And it can generate ideas, but it cannot take responsibility of you. So you could call that a limitation. Because you're still liable for it, but it's also great because then we as a profession are in a way not abolished. It's impossible, right? And another limitation is, of course, it can be misleading. Like they had in the US now a case where a guy who was an expert on misinformation put in a brief, and a lot of his sources were in a way fake, created by ChatGPT, where you realize who can be this stupid, right? But maybe it was his people working for him doing this, or maybe somebody doing a trick on him. So apparently he didn't check the sources, but maybe it was not his failure. So there's room for failure, and like in a legal database and an electronic database of cases, we are so reliant on it as lawyers, at least in Germany, maybe in Poland too. What's not in there, we almost don't know anymore.
Yes,
right?
that's true.
There is other stuff out there, right? Even books that are great are not published. Libraries are not used by many more by lawyers, at least in Germany. Not only the biggest law firms have a library. What's not in the database we don't use. So if you talk about risks or plausible, in a way, wrong things, we've been there already for a long time. But on the other hand, we have quicker information, better information, more coherent information. We have translation. So
what would you answer to lawyers saying, I don't want to spend so much time for supervision because it's hallucinating. It provides inaccurate information. I will use much more time to checking whether the information is accurate. I would better do it myself. It's always accurate and perfect. What would you answer to such the people who hesitate?
It's great. If their personal work is accurate and they can bill for it, that's perfect. It's not likely that this is the case in many things because we usually have a lot of work to do, and very often we have already, with our own sense, found the facts, created the legal assessment or draft, and then this is a helping tool that will not hallucinate. One example, some German lawyers have secretaries, male, female, whatever, that are not native speakers, but are great people to work with. For instance, if you have your team is working and the grammar is not very accurate, or it's a bit awkwardly phrased, put it into any chatbot and just say, this is a great text, a little finishing touch there. It's so helpful on many levels. Your workers, your employees, or your colleagues can work better, and the product is better. So there's so many things where you would say, go ahead, do this by hand, do this by yourself, but you will probably learn to use the parts that are not hallucinatory, and they are also great, I have to say.
One last question: how can hesitants or people who have not started it yet, how can they start incorporating AI into their workflows without feeling overwhelmed?
I would say if you want a cheap, good solution, use Mistral, because it's like ChatGPT. It's free. It has the Canvas function. You can upload documents. That's in a way better than using ChatGPT without a license, but without paying for it, because then without it, it works, but it's not. That's not great. That's what I would recommend. And try this out. If you want to have a little bit of different feel for it, use Perplexity. Perplexity is a great new way of navigating the web. Many people in Germany that I know, middle-aged, who are not comfortable with ChatGPT, realize that searching the web with Perplexity is better than Google. Because if I look for something, Google gives me the links, but when I ask Perplexity, it doesn't give me links, it gives me an answer. And more than often than not, the answer is accurate.
I didn't discuss on purpose the legal and professional limitations, because we discuss it very often, and we could discuss whether we breach and how we could breach the attorney privilege, the secrecy cases, the GDPR matters. My idea with this episode was to show that the AI is within reach for every lawyer, not only for big law firms that could buy Harvey or some other specifically tailored tools. But what we did today is touching what exists, what can be reached in few minutes only, and you show in a very clever way how to use simple tools to be more efficient. Tom, I thank you very much for this this episode, because it shows how far with AI we are.
We are very far, and everybody can use it now, and that's great. And as I said, this is the plateau. It will filter through. We will all reach this level. I think within 1 year we'll all have it. There will be providers that make sure it's legally compliant done, right? And then the AI applies from fully from 2026 on. That's totally fine, and we will be AI compliant, of course. And then let's see where it goes. All right.
So thank you very much for your invaluable insights. It's fascinating to see that it can really reshape how lawyers work day to day.
Yes, thank you very much. Dziękuję. Thanks for having me.
Vielen Dank, ich spreche auch Deutsch, also wir können mit Deutsch enden. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to Monday Beigel for more thought-provoking conversations at the intersection of AI and law. And don't forget to leave comments, to leave thumbs up. So we would love to hear how you are using AI in your practice, what concerns you might have. And please share this episode with colleagues, because it's really worth doing it.
It is. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.